Don't bet on this game, people. I implore you that if you decide to bet on this game, you need to check yourself into a meeting and talk.
Welcome back, guys. We are getting ready for week 4 in the NFL, and it was another week that could literally drive a man to drink, I think, if you're betting. So cheers to everybody out there who's made it through, I don't want to do math right now, 18% of the season so far? Is that where we're at?
I'm not sure. It's too early for me to math today. So
Where somehow every team in the NFL is like 1 and 2 practically. It seems like just...
Speaking of surviving,
yes, tell them about this.
The Circa Survivor, it's been an absolute shit show.
And for those who don't know, that's where everybody gets a $1,000 entry?
Yeah, Circa Survivor is a $1,000 entry, and what you do is you get to pick all week long, every week. They even have a separate week designated for Thanksgiving and Christmas. Those couple games, they count as weeks. And $1,000, there's no spread involved. You got to pick a winner. You can only take each team one time.
So basically, it's a survivor.
It's a survivor.
Pool.
Yeah, it's a survivor pool. No spread though, which you would think makes it easier, right? Well, contrary, it's not this year. I mean, they start out with 14,200 ish entries for a prize pool of about $14.2 million. And as of week 3 completed, after last night's carnage of the Cincinnati Bengals going down, and 988 entries went down with it. That made up 25% of the remaining entries went out last night. Now, here's what's crazy. The 4 most picked teams for this week's entries all went down. Bengals, Browns, Bucks, Raiders. For combined, like 80% of the entries gone. It was 25, 24, 17, 13.
You say we started with 14,000 something? Is that what
14,200.
Okay, so that's somewhere right around 4.5% to 5% of all the remaining entries I think are left.
Yeah, there's 639 entries remaining. But the crazy thing is 80%. There was 3,874 entries going into Thursday Night Football. There is now 639 entries, but 80% of the entries got eliminated by the 4 top teams. And they all lost. In fact, it's unbelievable. They're heavy favorites, and they all lost.
But the one that gets me is week after week. How many people just didn't put in a pick this week?
This week was not as many as past. It was 3 people.
But why would you pay $1,000 and just, oops, I forgot to put a pick in? Like, that's just funny to me.
It's crazy. Week 1, there was, I think, 45 or 65 entries that didn't put a pick in, which is crazy. Week 1. I mean, I can see that you have a brain fart week 7 or which is crazy too. But week 1, you would think everyone would get week 1 figured out. Week 2, I think 45 or 23, whatever entries. And now this one too. So there's, they're improving. Less people. But yeah, it's crazy. So what does that sum up? That leads into the fact that right now, the NFL is insane. It is flat out nutty. I mean, here's a crazy stat. This is a stat going all the way back to 1974. Underdogs of 5.5 points or more this season are 9-6 outright winning. That means 9 different underdogs of 5.5 points or more have won, and this is the most through week 3 since 1974.
Yeah.
All this spells carnage. That's the takeaway from all this. It doesn't matter how sharp you are, how much you know, how much logic you apply in these situations. It's killing us. I mean, we finished the week 7-9 overall, 2-2 on my take it to bank picks. It's rough, man. It's rough. My wife is she's pretty solid though. She's dominating her picks this year. She had a bad week and she went 10-6 this week.
Maybe we should put up a Patreon and we can go ahead and sell Mrs. Feather's picks.
For the first 3 weeks, she is absolutely dominating the picks. She's crushing me. I mean, she's literally, I think, got ballpark 30 correct picks against a spread in the first 3 weeks. Well,
she's learning from the best. Now you're just second guessing yourself, but she's just going with your knowledge that you've imparted to her over the years.
Yeah. So. I mean, almost 11 years together. It's rubbing off, I guess. But so that's where we're at. It's been insane. Everything's insane, and week 4, I'm sure it's going to be just as crazy as.
Yeah, because there's no clear cut. Even the 3-0 teams, for the most part, you're not necessarily expecting the Steelers to be 3-0. And the Vikings, of course. Like, it's a lot of topsy-turviness. Maybe it starts to settle out, but I think maybe the only clear-cut runaway so far, which is maybe surprising because what I said in the beginning, might be the Bills, just because Josh Allen is so dominant.
Yeah, I mean, last year there was only 3 undefeated teams going into week 4. 3. One of them was the Niners. I can't remember the other 2. But this year, there's 5. 5 undefeated teams.
And the Niners are 1-2.
And the Niners are 1-2. Bengals 0-3, which they always start out 0-2, but they usually don't start out 0-3.
They're challenging themselves this year. So,
but
on you, Joe Burrow.
On the matchups this week, it's going to be interesting because I would say there's probably a good chunk of those 5 undefeated teams that are going to probably lose. So
let's get to them and let's take a look at all the games because again, no bye weeks yet in week 4 for week 4 in the NFL. Sports. All right, Thursday night. I guess now I'm kind of obligated to watch this, although I'm still not going to expect anything to happen. Our Thursday night football game at 5:15 this week is the Dallas Cowboys coming off their loss to. They just lose to. It seems like weeks ago already to me.
Dallas Cowboys just came off a loss against the Baltimore Ravens.
Which
the Ravens gave us a scare. I said the Ravens all day, no problem, and they were up big.
28-6.
They dominated, and all of a sudden they decided, okay, well, the Cowboys abandoned their running game, which they can't do. They started pass, and next thing you know, they got an onside kick. No one gets onside kicks anymore.
Especially now when you have to announce it.
Thinking,
not even a surprise onside kick
I was thinking,
anymore.
thank God the Ravens only have to cover 1 point because they made it
scary.
Way scarier than it needed to be, but they got it done like I thought. And now the Cowboys face your New York Giants.
So here's the classic Cowboys and Giants matchup with the Cowboys being favored by, at the time of recording, 5.5 on the road.
What do you feel about your New York Giants? So they should have beat Washington, right? They were the better team against Washington, and they came in and they literally beat the brakes off the Browns. I mean, the Browns are terrible on offense, but
true. But also looking at Washington last night in the Monday night game, they pretty decent.
Right.
Again, so
which makes it seem the Giants are that much better because the Giants handled Washington, and if not for a kicker injury, they would have won that game.
We might be 2-1. That's very true. I just still think the Cowboys are going to have too much firepower. I mean, yes, the Malik Neighbors to Daniel Jones connection, if that's a thing already.
3 touchdowns already as a rookie.
The problem is, and again, I'm gonna piss on him all year, I guess. Sorry, but like that's just making Daniel Jones look good. When Malik Neighbors is really doing all the work. He's your Randy Moss where you can throw him a 50-50 ball or just get it in the general vicinity. He's like the guy with the 99 hands rating on Madden. As long as you get it within that sphere around him, guy reaches out and gets
it. In fairness, though, Daniel Jones went into a hostile environment in Cleveland, and he got those balls off, and he made plays. I mean, does it help to have Malik Neighbors, who's super talented, catch some pretty tough balls? It does. But still, Daniel Jones is able to get those passes off. And once again, we can't emphasize enough, the Cleveland defense is really good. Their offense is the problem.
Their offense is
so,
Deshaun Watson.
I mean, I'm not willing to like annoy Daniel Jones anything, but he right now, the Giants fans and this team has something to be a little bit excited about in the fact they got what appears to be a really top-end wide receiver, and he's worthy of them unretiring to number 1 because he's definitely number 1 on that roster right now.
So that means the Giants are winning this week?
That being said, we're going to break it down. Thursday Night Football. We got our first pick right on Thursday Night Football in week 3 with the Jets and started off the week nicely last week. It's going to be more of the same this week, I hope. But as it looks right now, the Cowboys, I'm being 1-2, and they're back up against a wall, playing a division rival, which I did not expect the Giants to be where they're at in this matchup. And it's a lot closer than I think people thought. I mean, if you would have thought, started after week 1, this line probably would have been Cowboys by like 9.5. It's now 5.5, which home dogs 5.5 points is tricky in the NFL, especially this NFL where we just saw a stat where teams that are 5.5 point underdogs are crushing and winning outright. Forget about covering spreads. But the Cowboys are going to figure it out. Okay, they're going to figure it out. Their defense has been terrible. Their run defense is non-existent, but I just think the Cowboys are still talented enough and too talented to fall to 1-3. Will they cover? Okay, I'm going to say don't bet this game. I mean, I personally, my pick, I'm going to go with the Cowboys minus 5.5. I'm not going to take the Giants. The Cowboys. This is a game. If they can't win this game, there's really big problems there. Sound the alarm bells. and they should be able to cover it if they're going to win. I don't feel like it's going to be a field goal type game. I don't have that vibe. So I'm going to go Cowboys minus 5.5. And how about them Cowboys? They're going to get it done.
All right. So after that on Thursday night, we're back on Sunday morning. We have a slate of, what do we got here? We got 8 games again. Starting at 10 a.m. We're going to start with the New Orleans Saints at the Atlanta Falcons. Both teams coming off of a loss. And the Saints, again, here we go. Talk for the first 2 weeks was, oh my gosh, the Saints have put up 90 points in 2 games. And then we have week 3 where I think the over opened like at 50 something.
Yeah, it was
49.5 maybe, or it was
like
up
that.
there.
Yeah, it was high.
And then the Falcons falling to the Chiefs just last night, and Chiefs failing to cover by 1 point. But so Saints at Falcons.
Sunday night football.
I'm sorry, yes. Saints at Falcons, Falcons minus 1.5.
Yeah, the Saints, the story still is the Saints defense looks great, right? They held the Eagles down the whole game, and a Dallas Goedert situation that, I mean, he had
game of his life.
The tight end for Goddard had 170 yards receiving. A tight end. This isn't Travis Kelce in his prime, and they still only lost by a couple. The Saints still had a chance till the very end to win that game, and they fell short. Okay, the Falcons, on the other hand, to me, they were the better team at home. First time Patrick Mahomes played in Atlanta in his career, and he has been not good the first 3 weeks. Patrick Mahomes has struggled handedly, but the defense has carried them the first 3 weeks. And Travis Kelce's been absolutely horrible. Like, he literally is a non-factor. Has he finally become washed? I think he's comfortable in life. Got a girlfriend. He's happy. And I think
I did see Patrick defended it by saying that he's part of the offense because he has to draw defenders away. So he's involved. I mean, obviously you got to stick up for your man, but
yeah, I think he's sticking up for him.
Goddard had 1 catch on Sunday that I think equaled the total number of yards that Kelce has through 3 games. Just about. I think Kelce has like 69 yards for the entire season, and Goddard had that 1 catch and run for like 60 something.
Kelce the last couple of years has run around like he's lost and not even running crisp routes. It was his MO last year too, and who knows? We'll find out, but I think he's kind of washed at this point. But as far as Patrick Mahomes, he's struggling, throwing picks, making bad decisions, and the refs bailed him out again. The refs bailed. People are going to say, "Oh, what about this penalty that wasn't called, or what about this one?" But the bottom line is when the chips were down, and it was a case where it should have been a pass interference by against Kyle Pitts, which would have put it 1st and goal on the 1 yard line. They would have scored a touchdown. Let's be honest. It would have been a 2 or 3 point lead, and that's fine. Maybe Patrick Mahomes goes down the field and wins the game or ties it up and sends it to overtime. But you know what? That was robbed away from the Falcons fans, the Falcons team, and from football fans in general, because the refs made a blatant call that the week before they called in favor of the Kansas City Chiefs that won them that game. But let's be real, the Chiefs are the worst 3-0 football team in the history of the NFL, right? The defense is not going to keep them afloat the entire year, and they got issues on the offensive side of the ball with no Pachenko, and we'll see what happens. But as far as this game goes, Falcons at home is going to be enough to get the win. Division battle, huge division tilt. The Atlanta Falcons minus 1.5. We're going to cover the spread and get it done.
Okay, let's go to the next one. The undefeated Pittsburgh Steelers at the Indianapolis Colts. Steelers are the visiting team, favored by 2.
The Colts continue to be our thorn in our side, but the Steelers are surprising. If you would have told me that the Steelers would be one of 5 teams that are undefeated after 3 weeks, what would you have said? You would have thought it's crazy.
Undefeated, but maybe 2-1, and their defense is usually solid, hence the name Steel Curtain.
Their defense is great. I mean, their quarterback situation is a little bit leery. I mean, for the first 3 games, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers have 3 offensive touchdowns, or 3 passing touchdowns, or whatever it is. So the Colts, on the other hand, the young Richardson, second-year quarterback, he can't seem to pass. He makes a lot of poor decisions, and he's not successful in the passing game right now. And this team in general Jonathan Taylor looked a little better last week, and they got the W. They're at home again. They needed the win last week to go 1-2 and avoid the dreaded 0-3, which basically mathematically eliminates you from the playoffs. But guess what? 1-3 is not much better. That being said, the Steelers, they're going to go into Colts land, and the Colts are going to get the win. I think the Colts take the points +2, and the way these teams don't score, the 2 points could be key. The Steelers very well might win by 1, and you can cover with the Colts, but I think the Colts are going to get it done. I think Richardson's going to get it done this week, finally. Put up some stats, run the ball well. Jonathan Taylor is going to do all right against this pretty fierce Steelers defense. Like you said, the steel curtain. But I think the Colts at home, a much-needed win. Colts +2. Boom.
Win of necessity might be what pushes them forward.
Yeah.
All right.
It's pretty much do or die at this point.
Oh, for a lot of teams it is. And here's one of those teams that is also a thorn in our side, and I think dead to us as well. Jacksonville Jaguars at the Houston Texans. Texans favored by 7 at home, although coming off a rather crushing loss by the now first place undefeated Minnesota Vikings with Sam Darnold, who is maybe making a push for MVP, if not Josh Allen, of course, or some coach is getting coach of the year on the Vikings if this continues.
The funny part is the guy who's not playing well at all is Patrick Mahomes, right? And he would acknowledge it. He said it, but right now, as of today in the MVP voting, Patrick Mahomes is like number 2.
Just a popularity thing, too.
I get it. Vegas doesn't want to like raise up the bar because people are going to jump on it, but he's not even in the conversation. He's not even a top 10 quarterback right now.
Oh, Sam Darnold might be.
Sam Darnold, on the other hand, he's not the Sam Darnold of old. I mean, he doesn't make mistakes. He's not turning the ball over. He's making good passes, good decisions.
Well, the Vikings have a big game this week, and we'll talk about that one next. But on the Jags and Texans.
I mean, Jags and Texans, the Texans, all of a sudden, C.J. Stroud was unbelievable last year. He started out the year pretty good, and he got knocked down a peg against this Minnesota defense. They literally broke him down. I mean, it was crazy. They showed at the end how C.J. Stroud was consoling Caleb Williams, right? And Caleb Williams wasn't hearing it.
Yep.
But then the very next week, C.J. Stroud gets whipped, and you see it reverse, and C.J. Stroud's receiving the same treatment, and he didn't seem too interested either.
Well, he feels like he hasn't earned. He's already earned not to have that kind of attaboy at the end because he's already played a full season.
Yeah, when you got Sam Darnold, when you got Sam Darnold, who's been terrible, like saying, "Hey, man, it's going to be okay." I know how
you'll get traded too one day and you'll win. No, he's all right.
So I mean, as far as that goes, the Texans -7. That's a lot of points at home again. But the Jaguars, big problems. I think that Doug Peterson needs to take over calling the plays again. They had made a change up, and he no longer was calling the offensive plays. And I think that the first thing the Jaguars need to do is put the offensive play calling in Doug Peterson's hands. That's going to be start number 1. Trevor Lawrence isn't playing good football. This team all around is just defensively struggling. I don't give the Jags much hope. I think the Texans at home, it's a fast track. I think that they're going to have Joe Mixon back, hopefully, and Texans are going to right the ship. At home, -7, a lot of points at home, but the Jaguars have deserved every bit of what they're getting right now because they are struggling, and it's going to continue. Take the Texans -7.
It'd be too hard to even think Jacksonville getting 7 points is going to put up enough to keep it within that range. I can't.
It would have to be like 10.5 for me to like even think about taking Jacksonville, which is never going to be that. So.
All right, for this next game, let's see who finishes first. You talking about it or me with this beer? The undefeated Minnesota Vikings at your 2-1 and surprisingly very offensively dominant with Malik Willis, Green Bay Packers, and the Packers get 2.5 points at home. They're favored.
Green Bay is favored at home against the undefeated Minnesota Vikings. And that's why. Why is that? Because Green Bay's defense is unbelievable this year. They got 8 sacks last week, which is the most by this team in years. They have, I believe, 7 interceptions already. They had 7 interceptions as a defense the entire year last year through 17 games. I mean, they're at home, and I think they believe they can win with whoever's at quarterback, whether it's Willis or Love. I think Jordan Love will come back this game, but now that they're 2-1 and they won 2 games without him, they might feel at home that Willis can do enough with this running game that Green Bay seems to be doing pretty well with, and give him another week of rest.
And I also think, just from playing sports eons ago, like, I think the momentum, it might be kind of hard, even if Jordan Love is still Jordan Love, but coming off of 2 games, I think to put him in there cold and start against that game, maybe let Malik Willis. Malik Willis.
Yeah.
Too many Maliks now in the league. I got Malik. We all got Maliks.
Yep, Malik Neighbors, Malik Willis.
We just need a Malik sign in the back, and we'll just change the color. Whatever we're talking about. I think you got to ride the person with the momentum and the in-game flow right now. That's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is I think Green Bay's defense at home is going to be key against Minnesota, and I think that they're going to be able to shut down. Jair Alexander shut down Justin Jefferson last time they played, and I believe that the defense is going to be key. I think Sam Darnold's going to be put on his back quite a bit more, and it's going to be the toughest game for Sam Darnold in this matchup. Now, on the offense side of the ball, yeah, I mean, there's something to be said. Malik Willis is playing almost a perfect QBR type game. He's flawless. His stats are great. I mean, the guy is not making mistakes. His completion percentage for 2 games is 83%. No interceptions. Don't want to jinx that. I mean, I'd love to have Jordan Love back, and it's like a security blanket for Packer fans and, for football fans, especially if you have Jordan Love on your fantasy team. But I'm okay with them benching him and saying, hey, take another week to feel better and make sure he's 100%, as opposed to he comes back and gets hurt. Or he comes back, like you said, and is he a little bit, the momentum, does it change, does it not? I mean, I think that it'll be a mental boost for them either way because he's their leader. But I'm okay with them either way, whether Jordan Love plays, Malik Willis plays, the Vikings, Packers are going to get it done and get the win. Take the Green Bay Packers -2.5 at home. The home matchup in a division battle, I like it. Under a field goal, Green Bay gets it done. Winner, chicken dinner. Green Bay soon to be 3-1.
All right, we kind of talked about the Bengals' struggles now, usually starting 0-2, and now they're starting at 0-3. They are on the road at the Carolina Panthers, and the Bengals are favored by 4.5. Now you got Carolina Panthers with Red Rifle Andy Dalton, made a huge impact on that game, which makes you think, you could blame a lot of the same offensive players are on the field. And Andy Dalton was able to make use of them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's another Bryce Young, maybe not nail in the coffin, but I know they say he'll be back this season, but with the same weapons, the same tools, Andy Dalton was able to maybe experience trumps all in this case.
You can't script this. You can't make this stuff up. I mean, we're sitting here and we're going to say the Carolina Panthers have more wins than the Cincinnati Bengals going into week 4. Now, granted, that's not too far-fetched considering the Bengals have started 0-2 for like the last 3 consecutive years. But that being said, Carolina, no one expected them to have a win at this point, most likely, right? So you got the 0-3 Bengals, the 1-2 Carolina Panthers. Panthers come back home. All of a sudden, Deontay Johnson fans are loving it in fantasy because the Red Rider is throwing balls to him, and he looked great. The Panthers, on the other hand, I'm not sold on them yet, but the Bengals, this is it. Like, as Joe Burrow said, we're just worried about playing better each week. We're not worried about playoffs and division winners and all this stuff. They got to get the win because 0-4 with a loss to the Carolina Panthers spells doom. Last year, we were in this position in week 3, and we took the Bengals, as did 988 people in the Survivor, to win, and we said to cover, and they start out 7-0, looks great, and then they get worked. So that being said, I mean, there's just no way I'm going to take the Panthers in this spot. Andy Dalton, playing against his former team, they're at home. But the Bengals, T. Higgins is going to have another week under his belt after playing last week, finally rubbing off some of the rust. I think the Bengals are just the Chiefs are the worst 3-0 team, but the Bengals are the best 0-3 team. I mean, I don't understand it. The Bengals outplayed and should have beat the Chiefs handedly in Arrowhead. But then at home, they get worked over by a rookie quarterback and a first-year head coach of Washington. Make it make sense to me. Logically, I can't compute it. So I'm going to go with the Bengals minus 4.5 to get it done and cover against the Panthers. Yeah.
All right. And then the decimated but victorious over the 49ers, the Los Angeles Rams at the Chicago Bears. The Bears at home being favored by 2.5. I mean, Rams gutted that one out against the 49ers. And the Bears, Caleb Williams had first 2 touchdowns, 360 plus yards, but still lose to the Colts, managing only 16 points of offense. So I know we're not both big Caleb Williams fans as far as like just we think he's a bit overrated.
Yeah, going into the year, I mean, I'm not high on Caleb Williams. I mean, I'm still not high on him. I mean, he did have like a 50-yard Hail Mary catch that padded the stats before half in a Hail Mary that, whatever, he still passed for over 300 yards, but in the end, he didn't get it done. He made key mistakes in key spots. And
2 interceptions.
But the indictment I'm gonna have is on the Bears coaching. What are you doing when you're playing a team that's not good against the run and you don't run the ball? Well, you have DeAndre Swift that is a talented pass catcher and runner. You have a good offensive line and you don't run the ball. So it's not so much Caleb Williams should not have to pass the ball that many times with this Bears team. They have a running game, they have a defense. It's fundamental football. So I'm as much as I'm hard on Caleb Williams, I'm going to be hard on the Bears offense and the Bears coaching staff for not running the dang ball. And that was what sealed their fate in that game. For the Rams traveling West Coast to East Coast to go to Chicago, this defense is going to be too much. No Cooper Kupp, no Puka Nacua. I think the run defense is going to be stingy, and they're gonna shut down Kyren Williams. And the defense is going to make up for any hopefully failed wrongdoings of Caleb Williams this week. But I think they're going to run the ball more this week, and they're going to do things that will put the Bears in successful spots. The Bears minus 2.5. We're going to take that to the bank. The Bears will cover the 2.5 points this week. Yes, take it to the bank. Boom. Bears, I said it. My mouth to your ears. Go bear down. Chicago Bears, 2.5. How do you like that?
I don't know. That's a tough game for me as someone who just looks at it and thinks about seeing what the Rams just did against a good defense and a good team. But I think that was also kind of fluky, and that was the 49ers doing what unfortunately they've done at some big moments at the end of games in the last year or so and dropping the ball. And also that pass to Bell that Purdy rocketed in that was in his hands at the 20. And, I mean, that's just, you got to make that catch.
I mean, it's the 49ers, no McCaffrey, no Kittle, no Deebo Samuel.
It was the best version of 2 decimated teams.
Mm-hmm.
Although I will say that, we'll get to the 49ers. I have one question for you. That's our afternoon game. But the next morning game we're looking at is, okay, speaking of teams that screwed up people's Circa Survivor pools, the Denver Broncos at the New York Jets. Jets at home, favored by 7. Broncos coming off of crushing the Bucs 26-7 from the get-go. They had that game handily wrapped up. And there's another thing. Just a week ago, Baker Mayfield, career resurgence, maybe MVP, and now suddenly just stymied by the Broncos, who showed no life for the first 2 weeks of the season.
Yeah, once again, logic does not apply in these situations because Bo Nix looked like John Elway. I mean, he actually, ran in the first touchdown of the game. The defense looked good. They are well coached. Sean Payne's a heck of a coach. He's going to figure it out there. But this is unbelievable. I mean, I don't know what to think about this Broncos team, but they figured it out. And then you have, against Tampa Bay, who, like you said, Baker Mayfield, 2-0, playing at home, big favorites. Offense looks great. Chris Godwin looks great. And what in the world happens? They don't just lose, they get worked. That game was never close. There was never a chance for Tampa Bay. They were never in it except for the kickoff. So, I don't get it. Now we got the Broncos going to New York Jets. Aaron Rodgers has Jets fans chirping. Chirp, chirp, chirp. Aaron Rodgers has this team, and once again, unfortunate situation. I don't know if you heard about the breaking news today, but Mr. Brett Favre announced he has Parkinson's.
Yeah, I actually did see that earlier.
That's super sad. He took a lot of hits, and if anything, this should speak to Tua. Mr. Tua Tagovailoa. Can't say his last name. Butchered it. Mr. Tua needs to retire. Because I can tell you right now, he's taken more severe head hits than Brett Favre has in his whole career.
Well, it's funny because it was funny because Brett said that he thinks he's taken thousands over the year.
Right.
And that's like the concussions that we talk about Tua having 4. That's the clear, blatant head snapping back, passed out
Right.
concussion.
Tua could have others, right? But
little minor moments. And
but
I don't
Tua
know how you
having,
measure.
but even Brett Favre never had it where like he like literally was spasming and all kinds of crazy stuff. So I think this is a wake up that, I mean, Brett Favre has Parkinson's. Let it sink in. He has Parkinson's because of football. There's just no way around it. He has had so many. He was a warrior. The guy didn't miss games, but now he's probably going to have his life cut short and his quality of life cut short. So Tua, time to retire. And I think a lot of players got to make tough decisions because this is a brutal game. And so is a trade-off for money in a couple of years worth it? I mean, we love football as fans. I love football, but the trade-off is crazy.
Like when I watch boxing or UFC. I mean, boxing's worse though, obviously. I watch that and it's interesting to see two competitors challenge each other, but you also know you're probably watching people do like irreparable harm to themselves and to others, and it's like maybe I don't know where the line is on that, but
I played sports all my life, a good chunk of my life. We're gladiators out there, and you don't think about the future when you're young, and you think that you can always eat healthier later in life. You can, work out more. You can make the changes later. But in this case, this sticks with you, this head trauma is real. And yeah. But as far as the Jets go, Aaron Rodgers is playing well. This Jets team they played great last week, and they're at home again. 2-1 record, and the Jets get it done. The Jets are going to stick it to the Broncos at home. This defense is going to give Bo Nix all kinds of problems. They're going to dial up all kinds of stuff. The Broncos are not going to be able to have a shot in this game. The Jets win this by double digits. Take the Jets -7. Take it to the bank. Aaron Rodgers is going to go 3-1, and Jets mania is going to continue to grow.
All right, let's wrap it up on Sunday morning. Philadelphia Eagles at we mentioned Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So Eagles favored on the road by 2.5 points. We know the struggles of Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Bucks. And then the Eagles almost didn't get a win out this past week.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, an interception at the end sealed it, but it very well could have gone to overtime. Between the Saints, again, 90 points in the first 2 weeks, and the Eagles managed 27 combined points in this last game. So we never know if these are like one-off games or if we only have 3 games to go by, right?
Right.
Is the one huge game the normal game that'll go in the blooper reel, the normal game,
right? Or
is the game where they're putting out 12 points and struggling going to be the norm?
Yeah, it is too early. 3 games is a small sample size. Even by week 5, it's a small sample size. But we got to go with what we can see. And here's what I'm going to say about this game: the Buccaneers are at home again. I think they're going to play better. This Eagles defense got issues, okay? But they did hold the Saints last week. But now that being said, Derek Carr played pretty bad. He played what Raiders fans have seen over the last couple years, inconsistent. First 2 weeks, he looked great. So I think it's more because Derek Carr played bad than the Eagles played good on defense last week. So the Buccaneers are going to play better. Now, here's the problem with the Eagles. It's only Tuesday. The line's 2.5, but we got Devontae Smith, wide receiver for the Eagles, and I believe concussion protocol. He's questionable. I don't know so we're going to have to wait and see what happens with him. And then you got A.J. Brown, who's missed the last couple games with a hammy. If my circumstance, what I think at this point with the Buccaneers at home, in a spot where the Eagles might be down wide receiver 1 and 2 and their lack of defense. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the Buccaneers as home dogs plus 2.5 to get it done and get the win. Now it's going to be contingent, okay? I'm picking the Buccaneers. I'm married to that pick based on information I have that I feel like it's possible the Eagles will be without their wide receiver 1 and 2, and they're playing in Tampa, where Tampa is going to have a better offense combat against this Eagles defense is failing. But I would recommend that if Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown plays, to not touch the game. Don't go with it at all. If they both don't play, ride with the Buccaneers plus 2.5 all day long. But if Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown both play, then I'm going to tell you to just don't touch it. Stay away. avoided all the.
All right. Moving to the afternoon, 105. Washington Commanders at the Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals at home, -3.
It's another tough game. Washington, how do you think that Bears fans felt watching Jaden Daniels look so good as a QB1 when they could have drafted him and they went with Caleb Williams? He looked great.
Oh, I think Bears fans are used to this.
Yeah, it's another day, another year for the Bears, but he looked great. Kyler Murray's looking good. Both teams, the Cardinals gave fits to the Detroit Lions. And poor Dan Campbell, how they moved. Dan Campbell and his family were forced to move out of their home because someone leaked the information of their address. And so when they lost that game, psychopath fanatic fans, basically threats, stalking, all kinds of bad stuff. Did you know who was the one that leaked it? A school friend of his daughter.
Oh, really?
So what world we live in where literally it's out of hand. A schoolmate of his young daughter blasted out the address when he was pissed off the play calling of the coach on social media.
Doxing at such a young age.
That's insane. What fans, come on, get it together. This is just disgusting. But anyway, Washington Cardinals. Cardinals are going to get it done. They're at home. Washington looks good, but they're going to travel to the West Coast. And Kyler Murray and them are going to get a much-needed win and take Cardinals -3.
All right, and then the next 105 game is the New England Patriots at the San Francisco 49ers. This is a big spread on this one for a team coming off of a loss with a 1-2 record, but -9.5 points for the 49ers at home. But, of course, the Patriots now look like in week 3 what we thought we would see for all the first 3 weeks.
Yeah, the Jets just stomped them, right? They couldn't do anything. But the Niners are 1-2, and they're devastated at injury. They're missing so many people. I just don't see. It's tough. The Patriots are they really that bad? The question is it going to be who's going to start at quarterback? I think it's going to be Jacoby Brissett again. The Niners have a really good run defense, right? So Ramondre Stevenson put up 0.4 fantasy points last week against the Jets. It's going to be tough sledding again. The Niners, I don't know if Kittle's going to play. Kittle and Debo are going to be questionable. If they play, which I think that the spread is based on is if they're going to play.
Right.
We know McCaffrey's not going to play. He's in Germany right now. The Niners are up against it. They can't go 1-3 for sure. So, I'm going to rule out right off the top, 49ers at home are not going to lose this game, obviously. That's not really a breaking news by any means. Will they cover 9.5? The answer is yes. I'm not taking the Patriots. 9.5 seems like a lot of points, but New England traveling to the West Coast in a much-needed game for the 49ers to get right to become only 2-3, which is not 2-2, which is not exactly lighting the world on fire. Patriots don't have a chance. 2 touchdowns, easy. The Niners win by at least. Niners -9.5. Boom.
The 49ers are going to be the team that everybody's fantasy football teams look to for step-up players. We got Mason after week 1, and then Jalen Jennings this week. I'm sure on waiver wires he's being targeted after that huge game.
40-something fantasy points.
I think it's 41. Yeah. Just below, what was it, Josh Allen again?
Yep. Josh Allen, who we have on our team. Would you say Josh Allen's a front runner for MVP right now?
Well, I guess it depends on what the MVP judging is all about. If it's purely stats and talent, then yes. But I think maybe it has to do more with how they lead a team. Although his team,
which he's done.
Which I was going to say, I was the one who said in the very beginning that the Bills are that team where I feel like, how are they going to be good considering they've lost so many weapons and they have so many
all new wide
issues.
receivers, and they're getting it done. And he's passing, running. He looks like
he's a game manager and he's a great player. So you could put him on almost any team, maybe even the Giants, and make him. Man, imagine if you had Malik Willis. Imagine if you had Malik Neighbors. I'm gonna do it all season. Does Malik Neighbors play for the Tennessee Houston Astros? Whatever I'm gonna call him.
Yeah, exactly. So
All right, let's go to the 2 in the afternoon. We got
1:25 p.m. Right?
125, yes. The Cleveland Browns at the Los Angeles Raiders. Raiders favored at home by 1, which is kind of surprising given what the expectations were for the Browns. But I'm gonna say it. Yes, if DC sat here last week and said there was any team that could come off of an improbable victory and a comeback victory against a team they shouldn't win against, and then come home to their first home game and absolutely shit the bed against what was considered the worst team in the NFL, it would be the Raiders, and that absolutely happened at the hands of Andy Dalton's Carolina Panthers.
Cue the dumpster fire right here in the middle. Dumpster fire.
So this one, okay, so basically a toss-up as far as Vegas is concerned. Raiders at home, -1 against the Browns.
Don't bet on this game, people. I implore you that if you decide to bet on this game, you need to check yourself into a meeting and talk about it, because this is pure gambling at its root. I have no idea who's going to win this game. I can speculate. I can hope for the best. The Browns defense, with the Browns' terrible offense, traveling to the West Coast to play the Raiders, who look good against the Ravens, but then look god-awful. I don't even know who the quarterback's going to be this week, because it's possible Gardner Minshew, dumpster fire, might be benched for their second-year quarterback that he's not exactly proven anything either. Antonio Pierce was pissed, or I don't know. All I know is there's a lot of pissed off fans, and I know the coaches are pissed off with how the players reacted in that game. Their lack of running game, their lack of offense, their lack of effort. All that summed up, I'm going to ride the Browns because of their defense. Because I just, in good conscience, I cannot take the Raiders when I do not even know who their quarterback is going to be, if they're going to cut 5 players by Thursday. I think this team is demoralized after having what would have been, you thought, a huge springboard to say, hey, we could be 2-1 after week 3 with just beating a team that's god-awful, that just dumped their quarterback for Andy Dalton, which Andy Dalton's a serviceable quarterback, but still, to get whipped by that team. It's not like you lost in like a heartbreak. You got owned from the start off the kickoff all the way through. The Browns, they're in a bad spot too. But bottom line, the Browns defense is going to get it done. They're going to cover the spread, -1. Don't bet on it. I'm not betting on it. But the Browns, if you must, to cover.
All right, and last afternoon game, Kansas City Chiefs at Chargers. Chiefs on the road, favored by 8, which, given some of the recent games they've played and won, they've been close ones. So they're getting a big 8-point spread on the road.
You know, it's like I keep beating the drum, but last year the Chiefs, everything aligned perfectly in every way for them to win this Super Bowl. The teams were facing devastating injuries. Chiefs stayed healthy. Different ref calls, all kinds of circumstances, and ultimately playing well too, not taking it away. But this year, once again, it came down to a half a toe against the Ravens. Okay, they won the game, great. Week 2, the Chiefs shouldn't have won that game. The Bengals were the better team on both sides of the ball, and the Chiefs, due to poor play calling, poor officiating, and a mistake or two by the Bengals, get the win. Week 3 comes, same thing all over again. The Chiefs are all played. Patrick Mahomes did not play well again for a second straight week, and a couple circumstances, and the Chiefs pull out another win. Now the Chargers, right? Incoming Chargers, who were 2-0 going into this coming week, had a tough decision. Justin Herbert with a high ankle sprain. Play him or not play him? See, it comes down to organization decisions. Green Bay chose to not play Jordan Love, who was on the field pregame, giving her hell. But they said, okay, we're going to think big picture. Justin Herbert, when they should have, what would you say is the more important game? Them playing last week, the Chargers playing in week 3 against the team they played, or playing week 4 against a division rival at home against the Chiefs.
I mean, that feels like a setup question, but yeah, I would definitely hold somebody out, unless you feel like if you fall in that game.
I mean,
I think that's where the thinking comes from. Do you take a chance on going in with an additional loss into that divisional matchup, or is it better to take a chance and you have a little bit less at risk if you have that extra win?
so here's the thing, though. When it comes down to it, the Chargers say they beat the Steelers and they go 3-0. If they lose the next week when they're both 3-0 to the Chiefs, the tiebreaker goes to the Chiefs.
Right.
But on the flip side, if Justin Herbert doesn't play week 3 against the Steelers and they lose and they're 2-1, the Chiefs are 3-0, Justin Herbert's that much healthier in week 4, and they're at home.
Fair enough.
With a great running game, a coach that's preaching defense and running. They get the win against the Chiefs, and guess who's in first place in the division? The Chargers, right? No, they wanted their cake and eat it too. They probably wanted to keep momentum. Justin Herbert's a gamer. He made the call to play. The coach went with it. And now he's most likely not going to play. You see a minus eight points for Chiefs because Justin Herbert's probably going to be out. And once again, a huge break for the Chiefs. I said they'd be 3-3 after 6, and they should be 1-2 right now with a really tough game against a Charger team. But instead, it's an 8-point spread. Justin Herbert's most likely not going to play, and if he is, will he be effective? So the Chiefs -8, we're going to take the Chiefs -8. They're going to cover the spread because of the poor decision-making to not look and play the long game instead of doing a short-sighted view of winning in week 3. Now they may have lost Justin Herbert for multiple weeks and multiple losses. Chiefs get it done -8. I would think. Like you said, they played close games all 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But I think in this case, unless Mr. Jim Harbaugh has something up his sleeve, the Chiefs cover and win.
Let's move to the last game for the Sunday of the weekend of week 4, something like that. Sunday night at 5:20. Here we go. Buffalo Bills at the Baltimore Ravens. And now the Ravens are favored at home by 2.5 points against this Josh Allen-led offense we've talked about.
3-0 Bills versus 1-2 Ravens.
And the Ravens are the favorite.
Ravens are, talk about tough first 4 games. They draw the Chiefs. They think an easy game of the Raiders, they lose, but then they come back, have to play Dallas in Dallas, and now they're at home against the undefeated Bills. This is a tough game. And John Harbaugh pulled himself out of the fire last week, almost gave it away at the end by some way. The Bills look great, great. Picking against the Bills here is not an easy proposition, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to ride the Ravens -2.5 at home. They need to win more. I'm going to give the home field advantage to tilt. I think the Ravens are going to do enough to get it done. The Bills are great. I would say don't bet this game. This game is one of those games that I personally am not going to bet it. It's not going to be a take it to the bank pick. But I think that the Ravens are going to get the best of the Bills this week in a battle. And the home field advantage is going to be the difference. I think that it's just going to come down to, it come down to a late score, but the Ravens get it done. But like I said, it's apprehension. Don't bet this game. This game is just enjoy it and realize that you got 2 really good teams here. But Ravens -2.5. That's my pick.
All right. And then we're back to another 2 games on Monday night, starting at 4:30. The Tennessee Titans at the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins get the notch, being 1-point favorites at home.
This Dolphins offense is too talented. I mean, they got they got problems on the offensive line. That's not good. But they got 2 stud running backs. They got 2 of the top receivers in all the NFL. Their defense is okay. They're at home. Tennessee, I mean, Will Levis has been horrible. When are they gonna pretty soon Mason Rudolph gonna play this game? I mean, a lot of people are calling for Mason Rudolph to play. And I just don't. This is a tough one. Don't bet this one. Please, people, don't bet this. Let's wait and see what happens, because right now the Titans have a really good defense, but Will Levis can't get out of his own way. And this Dolphins team at home, it's just hard to imagine them losing another one in this spot, but not knowing who the quarterback's going to be and if whoever is the quarterback is going to be able to even get these great players the ball on this offense. I'm still going with the Dolphins. Dolphins -1, reluctantly. I'm not betting it. I don't recommend you guys to bet it. But the Dolphins at home are going to do enough with the running game, and the Titans will just be the Titans, and they'll lose this game on the road due to Will Levis and their other failure.
To put it bluntly. And then we'll wrap up the Week 4 games, 5:15, the Seattle Seahawks at the Detroit Lions. Lions favored at home by 4.
2 Monday Night Footballs back-to-back
Too much
weeks.
football right now.
Holy man.
I like the Thursday, Friday, Sunday, Monday. I kind of wish
No, there's no Friday.
No, when we first... the first
Oh,
game
having a
with
Friday,
Labor Day,
yeah.
Yeah, I kind of like 1-1, most 1. I kind of like that.
Well, the thing is, having 2 games, you can't watch them both, so you got to flip back and forth, which that's not bad considering we watch like 7 at the same time at Westgate. But I like having one game to focus on a Monday or a Sunday, but, they chose to have another one back-to-back, and, I guess people can't get enough football. The Seahawks, undefeated Seahawks, 3-0, without their number 1 running back for 2 of the games. And Geno Smith hasn't been particularly impressive, especially after week 1 he was not good at all. This is unbelievable. Seahawks at Lions, and if you were to say the Lions would have a worse record than the Seahawks at this point, I don't know if I would say that. That's pretty wild to think. But the Lions, Dan Campbell is in disarray, obviously, as a family, having to run for the hills, which can't do well for anyone's psyche. It's got to be a stressful time. This Lions offense made improvements, and the key is give Montgomery the ball. When Montgomery gets the ball and eats, that guy is a beast. Jahmyr Gibbs is a great back, but when David Montgomery gets going, this team is very hard to beat and very hard to stop. The Lions are going to get it done. At home, the Lions were going to take it to the Seahawks. Seahawks travel a long way. They've looked good. They've had a good first 3 games, but it's going to end. The Lions -4. Take it to the bank. Boom. Bet it big. Lions all day long are going to come together nicely. I'm a little bit concerned about Sam Laporta. He got injured. I do not know if he's going to play this week. I'm going to guess no. But that's going to open up the outside. There's good enough receivers in this team. Their running game is outstanding. The Seahawks still banged up at running back. The Lions get it done. They cover no problem. Take it to the bank. That's my game of the week. Lions -4. Boom.
Yeah, that's not a bad game to finish it out. I mean, see, it's kind of Detroit was a heavy favorite, still is a heavy favorite to away with the division, and Seattle Seahawks are a surprise at the least to us. Maybe not Seattle fans because they got their teams back all the time with the 12th man.
Right.
That's the whole thing. But they, like I said, 5 teams undefeated, and like maybe 3 of them, definitely 2, Seahawks and Vikings. Never. No. I don't think I would have expected those 2. Yeah. And like I said, Steelers maybe 2-1.
I'm going to say right now, my feeling is I guarantee 3 of the 5 undefeated teams lose outright this week. 3 out of 5 when it's all said and done.
All right. Put your comments down below if you think the Feather's right about that, or if you think these teams are going to remain undefeated.
Guys, this is one of those things. Is like I said, we finished 7-9, 2-2 on our on taking the bank picks. It's been tough for everybody. I mean, bottom line, it's the NFL. This has been an unprecedented year for crazy upsets, crazy stuff happening. All we can do is take it week by week with what we see and break it down and hope for the best,
All right, guys. Well, thanks again for tuning in. We'll talk to you after week 4 is complete. Hope you're safe and healthy, and look forward to being back here in another week.
All right. Until then, take it to the bank. Boom.